Hey guys, welcome back to another art video. So this video is part 3 of my Speckletone series. I'm working on Madero Beach, Pale Gray, and Old Green. And you'll begin to notice that these papers are a bit larger and they're also a little bit more toned. So you're gonna notice me, it's gonna take me longer to color these also. Because of the deep tones of these papers, less of the color from the ink is gonna show through them. So these images will start looking a little more dull than how I used to be coloring them. And that's actually a good thing because the scenes were actually inspired by the tones I was drawing on them. So it worked out that the color of the paper showed through more than the ink. And you'll see this most in Old Green because it's the most toned out of all three of them. And I was using mostly like pastel colors to color almost everything on the image, and it still looks very dull and it doesn't look like I used pastel colors. It looks like I used muted colors. So on the first paper, Madero Beach, I decided to draw my character looking as if she were defeated. So I drew her on the floor, and for the colors of the background I wanted to go with like something that looked like she was in a wasteland. So I went with like really muted colors, and I also looked on Google Images to look for dramatic skies, images for dramatic skies, and I saw one that looked green. And at first I was thinking that could never work, green in the sky, but when I tried it out, it actually looked pretty cool. It looked like something terrible is about to happen, and I really like the look of it. I just wish that I made the ground a little more dark. I can always rework it, but yeah, the ground is kind of a little too light in terms of how much of the sky the clouds are covering. Another thing I didn't quite like about the first image I was coloring is the expression on my character's face. It sort of makes her look like she's a valley girl and she's just like, oh my god, did he just push me on the floor? Something like that. And I really wasn't going for that. She's not a girly type of character. But anyway, so that's just my one complaint, my couple of complaints about this coloring. The second one was Pale Gray, and she's actually interacting with Grand. He's a titan from the Dark Dwarves, and he's a character that was specifically designed for Warlord's Battlecry. He doesn't belong to me. He's also not a transformer or a Pokemon. He's a stone metal golem, and that's because the dwarves are all about stones and rocks, but the dark dwarves actually got into metalwork and alchemy. So I thought that would be really cool, and I really wanted to include the race of the dark dwarves in my series. So for the dramatic sky, again, I was looking at Google Images, and I found this one sky that looked really dramatic and dull also. I saw really subtle shifts in color in terms of blues and purples and greens and yellows. So I thought maybe I could intensify those colors and it would look the same. So I tried intensifying the colors, and it made it look a whole lot more colorful, but again, still very dramatic, and it looks like something really magical or out of this world just happened, and it looked really cool. I really liked the effect. And so it looks like I just drew my character interacting with the creature, because Grand in the game, he was created to be this really, really tough destroyer kind of character. He was created to destroy things. And so my character is trying to convince him to stop, or either trying to change his mind or something like that. So that's that. And so the last image was done on Old Green, and she's with an Archon. And Archon is sort of like a holy type of spirit, angel sort of thing. And there wasn't really any lores for Archons or any of these characters. I was actually replaying Warlord's Battlecry just to find out if there were any lores that were explained in the game, but there really wasn't. And they just say they're powerful creatures and they do this much damage and whatever. So, but a few facts about the Archon is that they have, in the game, they have curing and healing spells. So I thought that was interesting, and in the lore that I made up for them was that they come when like a town has been completely wiped out and everything has been destroyed already, and they come to see if there's any survivors and try and help them out. So it's not like my character just saw an Archon randomly flying by and just like, oh look, Archon, wee! No, it's not like that. He actually is trying to save her in this scene. So what I did was I wanted like a really fiery type of scene that was kind of hard to do because of the tone of the paper. It was very dull and like grayish, so it kind of toned down the fire, and I had to start bringing out my opaque markers. I was using mostly my Recollections marker because I felt like the dry application of the paint sort of made it blend into the paper better, so I was using those mostly. And I also wanted like the background to have a lot of smoke because that's what happens when an area is filled with like flames and stuff. So I took out my Tim Holtz Distress marker in Picket Fence. It's a white, but it doesn't really apply opaque white. It sort of applies like a milky white type of color on top of the paper. So I use that a lot to create the smoky type of background in this image. Also, I used it in the first image, but I didn't manage to record it because that marker actually dried out and I had to figure out how to restore it. Mostly these water-based markers aren't made professionally, so there are imperfections in the design of the marker, and that makes the water from the marker sort of dry out quicker. But there's still pigment in the marker, so it's not like the marker is useless. All you need to do is like put a little bit more water in it, but just like be vigilant and aware that it's gonna dry out in the next few weeks or so. And you're gonna have to repeat the procedure to reactivate the ink. So I was trying to do that when I was doing the first image where she's on the floor, and that's why it didn't end up getting recorded. Okay, so for the Archon image, I just decided to make like a really murky sunset background, again using Google Images, and I really liked the look of it. It looked really cool. This whole series, like, I was doing really dramatic and different skies, and I really enjoyed that because I'm not used to doing that. I'm just used to plain out going to like really light blue whenever I'm coloring the sky. And so this really like forced me to get out of my comfort zone and try to make these scenes look like more dramatic and realistic. And so I really enjoyed using all these different colors that I never thought would ever work in a scene, and they worked really well actually. So yeah, that's my verdict for this series. I really enjoyed it. I think it was actually my most successful and most creative group of images in the whole series. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.